So, all right, everyone, welcome back. This is Peel, this Banana Podcast number 2, and we're back with Aaron Escobedo and my good friends, and we're just going to shoot the shit, talking about pretty much update on life, and probably going to make it about dating today. So sit back, relax, unbutton your belt, zip down your pants, enjoy us talking about our love lives, and have some fun. Get the tissues ready because you probably need it.
I like to learn some kung fu.
I would love to peel this banana.
I'm gonna start off. Your audience is not gonna understand this story, but you will. Do you remember when we traveled to Genesis?
Yeah.
And I remember we were talking. I was sharing a story at that time of like I guess my love life at the time. And it was funny.
Ride?
And it was funny because saying he was like, dude, are you guys like best friends? Because like you're a really good storyteller. And he was like, I guess for like the 11-hour ride, I intrigued enough of a story to sell a 3-hour ride at least.
Yeah.
So, and it's fun. The reason I brought that up is because Facebook does that wonderful thing where it's just like, oh, share your memories of what you did like fucking years ago. And apparently 9 years ago, I was talking to that girl and we were chatting on Facebook about something. She posted my wall and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that person.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was a crazy, dude. That was like a 3 or 4 hour story somehow.
It really was, yeah.
And all of us were just riveted. It was like an ultimate campfire story somehow. I don't know how the hell. That was just incredible.
Yeah, and I guess my preface, you can clip this part for a video, and I guess you can attest to this. I like to think that a lot of my dating life and love life is very movie-esque.
Dude, that's what it's about.
I try. I don't know if I like watch too much like Disney as a kid, and I'm like, I want to do like that. Not just romance, but like anything in life. Like it's got to be like overly dramatic, or whatever I do. I got to go through the trials and tribulations in life to like make it. But it's an interest for me, I guess. I'll start you off actually. What's dating like?
Yeah, dating in a COVID world. I haven't been. That's what. So, although my life's been kind of moving a lot, right? So back when COVID was happening, I was living in Oregon still, Portland, Oregon, and I was seeing someone then. I was dating someone while I was up in Portland while that was going on. So that, I guess, was weird. Trying to figure out how to navigate the beginning of COVID while dating someone, and then transitioning because I went and visited a friend. I went and visited you guys in Vegas. So I left Portland, went to visit you and other friends in Vegas, went back, then went to Connecticut where my family's at because my grandfather passed, then went back to Portland, then went back to Vegas because I got an opportunity in Dallas, but I didn't need to be in Dallas for a little bit. So I was like, well, I'm just going to head down to Vegas and see friends and all that for a time. And, seeing with Maya, dating Maya, which you know of. And so, yeah, but recently, no dating at all. Like there's been nothing. So from September all the way to now, there's been nothing. And yeah, it's just been moving around. I went all over the place, and now I'm here in Dallas, Texas, just kind of doing my thing. But I haven't tried dating. I haven't been on any of the Tinders or anything like that. I haven't talked to anyone in public, which is what I prefer to do. I prefer to just go up to someone in real life and do it. But that's weird. That's been the weirdest thing, actually. Is that game has obviously drastically changed because it feels strange to go up to someone to talk because it's like masks on and it's like, well, literally if I'm going up and talking to you face to face, I'm literally spitting air at you and that's particles that are moving into your face. And I guess that whole dynamic is I'm more fearful than I normally would be of it. And so I haven't even really taken that step to do it. I haven't bridged that gap. So that's been the weirdest thing. I don't know if you felt similar where it's like, see a really attractive girl in a store or wherever, and you're like, well, maybe never mind.
That
right?
totally happened to me. Like probably within the first 2 months here, I went downtown and most restaurants, to be honest, are closed, but a lot of the food carts and food trucks are open. And I went to a
Yeah,
food truck and there was a super cute girl, like who was in front of me in line. And I just felt like really bad. Like I'm like, no, I shouldn't do anything. Like mask on, uh, and I just was like, this is this doesn't work. Like I feel like the ability to communicate with people in public just isn't there anymore.
yeah,
And
it's really
today's
difficult.
time frame where we're in this like extreme risk zone, and until things like the vaccine gets more available to everybody or whatever, then I just feel like no bar hopping or getting up girls in the grocery store is probably not going to be an option that I'm willing to take right now.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I feel. It's not even that I wouldn't do what I want. It's like this might not be safe for me. That's the feeling. Like, yeah, this is. Let me not risk the safety of it. Do I really need to do that? Is that really my focus in my life right now? Like, no, I can move on. I'll work on my eBay business.
Right.
Something else. That's like what happens. But it's still kind of a shame. What is the long term effects of that, right?
Hmm.
So
I think about it a lot, and I think I shared a story with you earlier in the I'm sorry 2020, where I was like, just like anything else, your ability to socialize is a skill set that if you don't use it, you will lose it.
yeah,
And last time we had got to get together last year on like July 4th, and with a few small friends, I took make it a big point to practice my ability to socialize with new people. And I thought it was really successful at the time. I made new friends, but I had to really like think about it rationally way more than I normally would because I'm like, no, this is like a prime time moment. I felt like in a weird way, like people from 100 years ago, when like if you just lived on the farm or you didn't like, you're like going into town was like your once a month like highlight
yeah, yeah,
activity. And like
yeah,
like it wasn't like this overly cumbersome like attention and like so much information we get from our phones and like media these days. Like no, it was like no, this is the one event. Like I'm going to the prom. I'm going to like or something.
yeah, yeah. Right.
Like
This is a big deal. Gonna hire a
yeah,
limo.
so I'm like prepping, and then I'm like okay, and
Yeah,
then we did it, and like all right, good
that's a great
success.
mindset, though. Like, yeah, that's a great mindset because it is important. I don't think that's a trivial event. Your ability to upkeep or maintain those social skills is gonna pay a lot of dividends in the future. Because I see a lot of, I guess younger people, 17 to that 23, maybe 24 age range.
Mm.
Dude, their social skills are clearly lacking. And I thought mine were clearly lacking. Like I have social anxiety. I had to work through a lot of stuff, going out to different bars, events, and working on my social skills. There was a period of time in my life where I was very specifically working on those things. And then I'm seeing these younger people going, I'm like, oh shit, I wasn't that far in the hole. Like, fuck. So like, yeah, I treat it the same way too. Like anytime I get to do that, like I'm very conscious about what's going on in my system and like how comfortable do I feel engaging and expressing because those are skill sets that no one can take from you. And that's like the baseball thing. You put yourself at nothing, like take everything away, clothes off your back, whatever, you're naked, throw you on a dirt road. What do you have? Your social skills. Your social skills will bring you from absolutely shit into heights you couldn't even believe. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's one of the number one skills you can have as a human, maybe the number one. And I
Yeah,
think,
it's truly fascinating for sure. And like you said, I think this is just an interesting time. Like I have to think very differently about how I'm trying to interact with my peers or anybody.
yeah,
So, with that in mind, I got some stories.
sweet deal. Let's bring it on.
Yeah.
I'll
So
try not to roll
actually,
through if I had any, but go ahead.
here's what I got to do. I don't remember all my stories, and I have a kind of terrible memory. So what I do, a good thing, all these goddamn dating apps like store like all of your connections you made, and
Yeah,
like
there you go.
go back and like check it out. So generally speaking, um, I wasn't on I was on dating apps before I moved up here and like before COVID for sure, but they were hit and miss. I was like meh with it. But
Mhm.
by the fact that this all happened, I'm like, well, this is my only option now. So I just really upped the ante on like activity with it. And I don't,
Sweet
I'm not
deal.
like going crazy over here. I'm like, oh, I need to like
You like set up a robot that like when you go to work, it just sits there and swipes for you. It's like automated.
hardly. But I guess that's a good starting point to say like, oh, I can see exactly like what points, who I was talking to, and like what we did and whatever.
Right,
Uh,
right,
so I'm gonna start off by saying that when I moved here to Oregon, where I'm at now, it was late July, so we were in full COVID swing, and that's pretty much when I was like, okay, time to if I want to. Okay, preface. I finally graduated college, and I felt like I was in a place now, got a good career where I could, I guess, date the way I've always wanted to, of like, provide for someone and like have spare time, have weekends again, which is still a wild concept. I'm still not used to having weekends again. Basically, I just felt like, oh, I could date somebody now.
Mhm.
So moved up here, got settled, whatever. Then started talking to people. Okay, so with that in mind, here's I'm gonna just gonna like.
Girl number one.
Okay, so we got like we
Oh, I'm
got.
into it already. There's a lot of yellow fever, I see. I have yellow cancer. I'm probably gonna die of it. So
Yeah, so we got a list. We got a list for sure. Overall, I'll say like nothing was like crazy, but some more interesting stories. Probably the first one I got really, I guess, invested into. We went on 3 dates. It was
three,
pretty
that's a lot.
investment. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, wow.
and it
Okay.
started off well because we chatted on like online, and she was saying like, "Oh, I want to come over and play Mario Kart," and I was like,
She
"Your
just
boys."
offered this out of nowhere, or did you preempt this in any way?
I have to look at the messages, but they were basically turned into, "Why don't you come over? We're gonna play Mario Kart."
Okay, I
And
like that.
it was funny because in my mind, I'm like, yeah, like great thing to do. Come on, whatever. Um, but what was very first interesting to me was that when she, set a time, she arrived. She didn't arrive by her own accord. She came. She like Ubered to me. Now maybe
Okay,
it's a
that's
Portland
nice.
thing or something, but like I was like, wait. I like answered the door and like her Uber was like leaving. And I was like, wait, do you not have a car? She's like, no, I don't have a car. And I was like, wait, you Ubered here? She's like, yeah. I'm like, where from? And she's like, this. And I'm like, you spent like $30 to like come on over.
That like hurts my stomach to hear. I'm like, God damn.
I know. I'm like, why didn't you just like let me know? Like I could pick you up or something.
Yeah, I could have gave you the $30 charge for the stick,
I don't know. But anyway,
Offering
whatever.
this for free.
Interesting girl. Um, at the end of it, first date went well, I guess. Second date,
Wait. Was that the first date?
that was first date. She came over to my house, played Mario Kart, and then we got dinner.
So you were in the house playing Mario Kart,
Yes,
and then you went out of the house for dinner.
we did.
What did anything else happen within the house?
Unfortunately, I have to say no. There was no exciting features on that first date.
Oh no. Did you? I
On the
know you
first,
had to have tried. I know you had to make a move. Yay? Nay?
I I didn't make a move, and it's probably again my inhibitions from this whole COVID thing.
Yes, the COVID thing. Oh, dude. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I mean, she came over, we played, we got dinner, and then we came back, and then I kind of dropped her off, and that was kind of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say she was very. That's what I'm looking for. She was almost like asexual in the sense that it wasn't about intimacy at all. It was just like I just want to talk to someone and like hang out, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Like that's kind of another reason I guess why I didn't feel
Yeah,
uh,
right.
like
The
put a mood
whatever
on
that
her.
was, like, yeah, the mojo wasn't in the air.
Yeah, yeah. But date number two, she showed me her side of town, which is 30 minutes away from where I live.
It's on
So
the other side of the river.
yeah, she lived in like near Mississippi, if you know where that is.
Oh, okay, up, yeah. Mississippi Street. Okay.
Yeah, but which is a popping spot. I'm like, oh, it's pretty
Hmm.
sweet. And we just walked around. She's really, she was really into like putting stickers on walls, and like basically it's vandalism, but like everybody does it.
Yeah, it's a Portland thing.
The Portland thing. And I was like, and it was kind of funny. She's like, she had stickers ready. She's like, okay, watch out for the cops for me. I'm like,
Oh, that's funny.
like put a sticker like on something. And I'm like,
Were
okay.
there stickers already there, or was it like a blank thing and she's
They
like
were already
sticking
sticker.
this?
Everything was already sticker bombed.
Okay, cool,
They used
yeah.
like light poles and like stuff like that, It was just kind of funny. But anyway, just talking more about life, where she was. Everybody's got an interesting story of where they are and where they come from. But second day went out well.
So
We
you just went
hugged.
around Mississippi Street, like bar hopping Mississippi Street?
Well, we just walked because we couldn't bar hop, but
I was
that would
gonna
have been
say, I was like, I
ideal.
don't think it was. Yeah, I like Mississippi Street. They have some really cool bars up there.
Yeah, that place is popping. Like I could totally see, and it was baffling because it's empty, and normally
Yeah.
it's just like it's wild. Like we're squished on the streets trying to walk around, but
So
nothing
this
there.
is in July, August?
Yeah, this is an August time frame. No,
Okay.
wait, that's a lie. This is September now.
September? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, September.
'cause our first date I think was like late September, and then our second date was like early October.
Okay. Now question, because I didn't clarify this. She was Asian?
She was.
Yeah, called it.
She was Japanese.
Ooh, Japanese. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, but she wasn't. She's American, but she's from Hawaii.
Mhm.
But Japanese ethnicity.
Sweet deal. You already know
Yeah.
my story with Asians. I'm all about it. Worried about it. I'm trying to contain myself right now. So yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to not make any sudden movements, or you might see the camera tilt up slowly because something's rising, but don't start thinking too hard about it. Anyway, we're second date. Second
So,
date.
again, all normal stuff, I guess.
Yeah, just chatting, getting to know her.
Yeah, yeah. Date number 3 is when I got a little interesting
So
because
wait. Hold on. Nothing again happened. Date number 2 at the end.
we just hugged. Date number 2, that was it.
Okay, no kiss, no. Everything's still fairly platonic. All right.
Oh, I just realized. No, that's somewhat of a lie.
Oh, that's
Because
right. I put a finger in her ass on the way. No, I'm just kidding.
no, not even that. But like we've been chatting, and then day number 2 was just like I see us going out, and it consisted a little bit more of just walking around Mississippi. We did get dinner, and over the course of dinner, because at that point we already been chatting like for like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks.
Oh, okay,
So
that's a while.
time is getting invested here, I guess.
Yeah, that's a while. That's a while.
Yeah, and we had one date, went pretty well, I guess, and then second date, I'm like, all right, I gotta pop this question of like, like what are we doing, like type of question.
Yep.
And she had a very interesting response and like went on a tangent, like literally like a 20-minute tangent about how I'm into cars. That's one of my big things, and how she like doesn't like car people because her ex was like a car person.
It's amazing. Wait, okay, so you asked, what was the question that you asked?
I forget exactly what it said verbatim, but it said something along the lines of, and of course, we make it very movie-esque because she's like, okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and I'm like, Aaron, when she fucking comes back to the bathroom, you can be up front and like say like, hey, what are we doing? Or like, where do you see this going? I think that was probably how I said, like, where do you see this going,
Okay, cool.
or what's going on here?
Okay.
And then she went on a tangent. I said something like about cars once, and then she just went on a tangent about how she hates car culture and like car people, and like nonstop. She just kept blabbering out, like she couldn't stop about, and it was amazing. I was like baffled, and I was like, whoa.
And so you asked a pretty simple question about where you and her were gonna go, and she went on a 20-minute tirade about how she hates fucking car people. And if you drive a car, if you open car doors, even if you even touch the handle, you're dead to me. You're dead to me, and me and my family will never speak to you again. Stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I understand her strife, that's for sure, because her primary concern was that her last boyfriend was a car person, and it
That's
was in Hawaii.
projection, though.
Yeah, it was in Hawaii, and she understood the culture because she's like, I hated that he was like a lazy bum, and I hated that he's like everything like will go to the car and spend all the attention on the car, and like he would just want to get high and like just work on the car and like not do
Stick
anything
his dick
else
in
in
a
life,
muffler.
and better themselves. And unfortunately, I'd say I know a lot of people in the car community who like that. And it's not exclusive to car community people. Many
It's
people are
people.
like that. It's just
Mm-hmm.
people.
It's just people.
But again, she went on a 20-minute tangent about that. And it was funny because generally before that tangent, she was pretty docile that evening. She's kind of like, yeah, thanks, let's go explore here, whatever. But then boom, word vomit about like this car thing and how like she was like, I deserve so much better, and I'm bringing a lot to the table. And in my head, I'm like, okay, you're kind of unemployed right now, and you're kind of like don't have a car right now. And I'm like, yes, I think you're attractive, but there's so much more to a person than just what you look like.
Yeah.
Uh,
How old was she?
she was, she was 29, I think, 29.
Okay.
Yeah, and she was recently laid off from her job because of COVID, so she was unemployed. But she did, in the midst of our talking, she actually picked up a new job. So she was starting a new career, so that was good for her. So she was like making something of herself. She did go to school.
She started in OnlyFans?
Started what?
In OnlyFans?
No.
This is your job? She got hired at OnlyFans?
Not yet. Not yet.
Not
But she was trying to get out of it. Like everyone goes through these little slumps sometimes, and she was on her way out for sure.
Cool.
But so that was date number 2.
That was date number 2. Pretty revealing, though.
Yeah.
For you.
And it was because I was still editing and recording those car videos at the time. And the next day I was like, hey, so I didn't really give a good response like your car tangent, but I have YouTube videos. This is how I view the car world and what I like to do. So I sent her those.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really respond to that. So I was like, whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
Like the next day, now we're chatting about whatever. And she's like, yeah, so I can't wait for this weekend. Let's do like a little party and get together. And I was like, cool. So it's like her and her roommates, and they wanted to like have a party. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. She's like, oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait for you to come over and like meet my friends and stuff. I'm like, sweet. So I came over, met her friends, and we played, got some beers, played some games, and we were playing, why did I just blank the name?
Twister.
No, the card game that Cards Against Humanity. Cards Against Humanity. Okay. And it was interesting because Portland has a unique characteristic comparatively to Vegas, which is they're very politically active compared to Vegas.
Yeah, they are.
And I don't know what I did. I don't know what I said or how it came up.
I'm liking this already.
But I must have upset somebody somehow from various different playing Cards Against Humanity because someone didn't like my responses or whatever, which it's inherently a game that's supposed to piss people off.
Yeah, it's a game. Who can say the most ridiculous stuff?
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was?
I got to paint the scene though a little bit. So it was me, the girl I was talking to, who's like Japanese, her friend who she invited over, who was also Asian, her roommate, who was a white girl, her other roommate, second roommate, who was a black girl, and her third roommate, who was a guy, who was like an ex-military guy who was a little bit older. He's like 38-ish. So it was 6 of us.
Wow.
And then there's me, and I'm like a mixed person too. Anyway, there was like one time I like pulled out like a black card, and like it was funny and it worked. And I won the fucking round because of it. But like I got a lot of stares of like, you're not allowed to do that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like it's a game. It's like it's funny. And I don't know again what it was specifically, but I remember talking to the guy afterwards, who me and him actually hit it off really well. We make good connection. Um, he was like, yeah, there's certain cards I had in my hand that I couldn't play because I know it wouldn't go well with this group. And it's just interesting how like people get triggered by different things. And then at the end, it was in my head, I was like, okay, this is the third date. We've been talking for like a month now. We haven't had any like intimacy yet. Like we haven't kissed or anything. So I'm like, I gotta make a move here. Like
You got it.
I
Yeah,
have
this
to.
is yeah. What are you doing? What are you doing?
What am I
Put your
doing?
hands in your ass. Yeah.
So not that I was like trying to go all out or something at the party, but I'm like, this is more social gathering. It could be more relaxed. I could be in her home. She was like, yeah, like my room's messy, stuff like that, whatever. But anyway, it didn't turn out that way at all. Like, I upset somebody about something, and then the girls, so the 4 girls, they like went off somewhere because they were like, oh, we need to go do this girl stuff. And I was like, okay. So me and the dude just chatted for a while about stuff. Then like an hour later, I'm like, dude, where are the girls at? And like I checked there in another room. I'm like, yo, what's going on? It's like, oh, like we're just chatting. I'm like, I don't know again what their chat number or whatever, but like again, the girl I was talking to, she's like, I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna leave. She's like, yeah, okay, bye. Now previously she would like walk me out or whatever, but like she didn't that time. And I was like, all right, so I don't know what this was. This is weird. And I'm just gonna
So energetically, you're like, what the hell is happening here? Like, this is
yeah.
tension, weird, like something's off here. Yeah, dude, I can almost put myself in that room. There's some weird. This is what I mean about social skills.
Yeah. Look, I'm
You
gonna bring up
know,
the too.
yeah, our generation and lower, their social skills is like, it's pathetic, really, if I'm being honest. And it's just a tragedy, really, because it's so indirect, so passive, and you're just sitting there wondering what the hell's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that sucks for you, man. You're just in a new city trying to figure this shit out.
Yeah. Here, look.
It's still funny though.
So at the end of that, she just ghosted me. I just got straight ghosted, homie.
Yeah. Yep. No, I'm not surprised. This is exactly.
Yeah, and we were talking about it. I was like, hey, my birthday's coming up in 2 weeks, which in my head, I'll be honest, I was already, because she wanted to play like Animal Crossing and shit. And I was like, all right, cool. I already know what I'm going to give you for Christmas, like if it goes that far.
Yeah.
It's just funny, like, like, and it's one of those weird things. And I think I heard the same from you, which is always remember that time invested in a relationship does not equate to like a quality relationship.
Yeah, it doesn't. The two are separate.
So I guess what I'm saying is I put some time into this and it wasn't going anywhere and I got ghosted. Of course, there's a little bit of like upsetness to that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay,
yeah,
just gotta move on. Move on to the next thing.
Yeah, dude, that's always tough to go through. I mean, better then than never because one, there's a lot of red flags that are coming up subtly
Oh yeah, for sure.
out there. Even just her tirade on the car thing. Based on what you told me, that's major red flags. I immediately already know she's not dating material just based on you giving me that information that she did all that. Okay, she's carrying a lot of the past with her into the now, the present. She's
Right.
not mentally stable, really. That's not how mentally. I mean, we all probably do it a little bit, right? It's like inevitable. Like our psyches are so complicated, but based on what you're telling me, I can almost put myself there at the table, look at it, and feel it, and be like, okay, yeah. And God knows all the different mannerisms and body language she was giving you, and different facial tics and different things that she was saying, eye contact or lack of eye contact, and nervousness. And I don't know how she was, but I can imagine going from sweet and something like that, and then boom, you get one opening and 20-minute tirade. That's a lot of energy she's holding in that she needs to like process. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of indicators and information that she's actually giving you in there.
Yeah, that's something I think I've realized too, is that and that's not just this situation, but a general life, a 2020 lesson is that people will tell you things.
Yeah.
You just need to be able to listen and catch the cues of what they have to say.
Yes. It's all there, man. The information is all, it's a lot too. You're like,
Yeah.
holy shit, why can I read your entire life just by looking at you? This is weird. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
if you've ever had that experience. I do all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck? It's a lot.
Also, I will admit, her friend was way cuter than.
That always sucks, man. That always is like a weird thing because like you and I, we've been out to the bars, we've picked up chicks, we've done our thing, like so we know we have this kind of skill set, and we're like, oh, I'm on both of them, right? You're like sitting there looking at the other kid, and you're like, how do I make this? Like, I know for me, it would go through my head, I'm like, is there a way to get all of this? Like, all right, is a threesome possible? If not, how do I get both of them? Like your mind starts, how do I play this game? Like it's kind of, and it's fun too. Like there's a fun aspect to it. Like there's a way to get all of this. Like this is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's inherent challenges into it. And then like second, you're like, oh shit, but I'm also with this girl. Ah, damn, I don't know if you ever think that way. I certainly do. I don't know if I don't care if it's right or wrong. It's just what happens. I do it.
So then I'll talk about this other person. So she wasn't the only person I was dating. So I was dating her, right? But my definition personally is that I'm allowed to date multiple people, and until I commit to a relationship with someone, that's when I'll like.
That's how it should be. You don't want to set yourself up for one-itis. I don't think it's the right move. So until you vetted that person to know that they're going to be a very good fit in your life, yeah, you should be gaining you should be dating more so you get context of other people, right?
It was also kind of my rationale as to why I wanted to like see where this was going. Why I mentioned that story about date 2, like, hey, how do you feel about this? Where do you see this going? Whatever. Because I already had other options on the table.
What was her answer, by the way? You never said her answer. She just said she hated car guys.
Oh yeah, she went on a tangent about she hates cars. Then she basically said, "Yeah, I like you, but let's take it really slow." And I was like, "Okay."
I always roll my eyes at that sentence. Let's take.
So anyway,
really, when you hear that, that should be my instinct reaction is like, okay, cool, good. Because if they're saying that, like, it's like a nothingness. It's actually a test to see if you're man enough to just push things forward. That's how I take it. Like, okay, like that's a challenge or a test for me to see if I'm a man on my path and I'm able to go after what I want. What I want is to eat your ass out. So I'm going to move towards that. And if you say, no, cool, I'm off, but I'm going to move towards eating your ass out. Like, you know what I mean? Right. And that's when I hear that sentence, I'm like, okay, that's an indication that it's like a test in a way. And she should test me. I think that's a great thing that women do,
Mm-hmm.
That's how I view it. But that's kind of funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Dude, dating
so
cool for you for doing that during a COVID time now. Like it's awesome, dude, playing the field. So you had more dates during that same time period?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. Tell me the next one.
So the next person probably started like late August, early mid-September. This lady is a doctor. She works in the hospital. And first date, we went out to a bar. I got some drinks, got some little snackies, and then walked around downtown.
What bar? Was it downtown Beaverton or downtown
Portland?
Okay.
Yeah, we went to like some sports bar downtown.
Okay.
And then got some good drinks, got a good buzz, walked around for a while, chatted, and then we went home. She Ubered there, and I drove her home.
Okay, so
compared to the first story, traumatic makeout session.
Well, we gotta go a little slower here. So, like, you're chatting. What's the discussion? Is there flirtation going on? Like, what's?
Yeah, she's a doctor, and I'm pretty educated myself, so we talk about a lot of. I don't want to say I don't want to put some elitism to it, but like I guess educated topics of like the state of the COVID. I talk about physics and quantum physics a lot with her. I just told me about her passions, her interests, how she got there, what medical school was like for her.
She was able to kind of talk to you on I don't want to say a technical level, although the content might have sounded technical, But you two are connecting on like a educated level where you're like, you understand how maybe germ propagation happens and what actually happens mathematically with the graphs and
Right.
exponential curve of a disease spreading. And she's like, yeah, this is what we're finding here. And like, people need to know this. This is not how fucking viruses work. They're separate than bacteria. Shit like that.
Yeah, like that.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and then mixed in, of course, with like everyday shit, like, oh, how was the football game or whatever.
Yeah, right. But she
uh,
must have did. I gotta imagine she must have enjoyed doing that with you because she has a fucking doctorate for Christ's sake. So like, just that meeting level.
yeah.
Did you get any vibes of like she was digging you?
Uh, for her, and this is probably, as you well know, the intricacies of an Asian. She was Asian, by the way. Is that they're very good
I
at
already know.
hiding.
I already know. I didn't have to ask the question again. I already knew.
They're very good at hiding outwardly expression. So they're not.
You can see them hiding it. That's the
Yeah,
indicator, though. Like you can
yeah,
see them hiding it. So you're like, you think you're hiding shit, but like I can see you hiding.
yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
that's from my experience. I don't let that shit go. By the way, I pressure them into revealing because I don't like that. I don't like that whole meek, soft.
Yeah,
You know how like that Asian culture kind of like it's like they're ninjas in that sense. Like they're like that's pretty politically incorrect to say, but you know what I mean. They're always kind of maneuvering in like a social way where they're not really
right,
revealing so much. Do you find
right.
is that what you mean?
So she was Korean, by the way,
Okay.
but so it wasn't so much from her social cues. It was like her like physical contact was like big, like trying to touch my hand or walking close to me or like listening in, further little stuff,
She
little
did
stuff.
she did those things?
Yeah,
Okay. Wow, that's good. That's good stuff, dude.
yeah. So again, I pick up on this, and then I'm sharing a story, and like she wasn't just like she had feedback. Like I would share like a technical story about physics or something. She's like, "Oh, what about this case?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like it's a good question." And then like we go banter off each other, right?
Cool. Yeah. Did
So
that
that was
happen with the first date? Did that happen? Did she really uh I mean like the doctor and the other girl, did the other girl give you feedback like that girl did or was that different?
different dynamic. We talked with the first girl. We talked a lot about 'cause she's from Hawaii. I'm like, oh, I know a lot of Hawaii people, grew up in Vegas, Ninth Island. Let's talk about that type of culture. And then, yeah, she was. There was no banter on technical details.
But I also mean like she asked you a question to like prompt what you're saying further. Did the other
Mhm.
girl do that so much or yeah, see that's a difference in like value. Like that's a higher different caliber of person in my opinion when they're able to like
Right.
socially play with you like that. Because probably made you feel more connected to the doctor lady for that to happen. Is that accurate to say or
Yes and no. There's still like a little blandness in her personality per se.
yeah. Okay.
She's very dry on its
Mm,
personality type.
okay.
But it's when you're in medical school in school for like 15 years, like it just sort of happens sometimes.
I guess so, yeah.
But it went well, and then I drove her home, and upon dropping her off, we just like super makeout session.
Nice. All right. Walk me through that instance. Like, how did that? That's like always one of my favorite freaking dating parts of it, or parts of a dating story. Is that because that's so much tension, right? And like, you don't really know where to move. It's always kind of this weird zone, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna go in. Like, what's really gonna happen? I don't know. We'll see. You know.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
sometimes you know it's gonna happen. It's like,
So get her home, parked in front of her spot. I'm like, all right, had a good time tonight, and then you like reach for like a hug or something, and I'm in the car still, so I get in the car. So I'm like, I'm in the car. I'm like, all right, like I'll talk to you, whatever. And then see, this is like every little instance I know. Once I like get parked the car, like we're gonna say goodbyes. Now it's all a test, and this is like the game we play, just like as you're saying. So oh, nice to see you. Okay, bye. And then pull in, do a little hug, and then by the way, we're masked up because it was COVID.
oh, you messed up the whole time.
When we were in the bar, yeah, or outside of like pulling down for like take a drink or whatever.
Okay,
But we're
okay.
masked up like we're walking and talking around.
Okay, and then
Once
you
we got
masked up in the car.
in the car, we were, and then like once I dropped her off, we like took the masks off, I guess.
Wow. See, that's so
But anyway, okay, so
that's
doing
fucking
this
crazy.
move, like
Yep.
doing the hug move,
Yep,
and
across
then
the
I
seat in the
always
car.
personally, again, Aaron, like maybe top tier trick, I always hold a hug for like a second longer than it needs to be,
Okay.
which is weird. Okay, another side story to that is like this is how I play Smash too. I wait that half a second more than I need it to be, and
Just to
it
see.
fucks people up.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so like boom, it's not just like boom, it's like that's kind of the time
You
frame.
let it linger. Yeah, you let it sit. You let the contact sit. Yeah, I get it.
That's it. And then so we're letting it sit, and then like I turn my head, and she turns her head. And as soon as she's like turns her head, I just go for a kiss.
So she turned her head to face you, eye contact, like directly.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you. How much time did you let that stare sit?
No, it wasn't even like half a second. She
Okay,
just
so
turned her
here,
head.
turned
It
her
was
head,
here.
and then you went in.
She turned her head, and I just went in.
Nice, nice, and it all worked. She flowed with it. She moved with you. She didn't like, dude.
No,
Good. Okay,
no.
so
And then we maked out for like 5 minutes, literally like 5 minutes straight. Start grabbing on her a little bit, more physical.
grabbing on her tits. Yeah.
We're doing the Aaron special move.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. I knew it was coming. It happens every time.
The special move, it happened, but she wasn't willing to go all the way on the first date. She was like,
Okay.
we can do sex on a first date. Just don't want to do that. I'm like, all right. And then I would kiss her again, and we start going again. Like, no, I shouldn't. I'm like, all right. And then we start kissing again, and I'm like, but eventually it was like, okay, I'll let you go.
Yeah.
So that was date number one.
Okay, cool. Sweet deal.
No.
Sweet deal. Fun date.
And then we pretty much had consecutive dates. Not consecutive, but like kind of monthly or bi-weekly contacts. Like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you want to go on a hike? And we went on a bunch of hikes together. Portland's got a lot of great parks to explore and like things to do. Especially at the time, August, so it's like still summery. September, still summery.
So this is during the same time that you're talking to the other car hating girl.
Yep.
And then, okay, all right. So this is going on quite a bit amount of time as well. Like a good month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm also talking to other people as well. Like, for example, I was looking at their messages. Like, one of the girls I was talking to, we were hitting it off, and then she was like, "Hey, I got to move to like Florida for my family." I'm like, "Okay."
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I thought you were great chatting with, but good luck. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thanks for the info. I thought you were good.
Yeah, at least she didn't leave you off. Yeah, that's a great thing.
And then there was another girl too. Like, we started talking. She's an engineer at a semiconductor company.
Cool.
And we were hitting it off, and she was like, "Oh, I'm like playing Animal Crossing." I'm like, "Yo, me too." Like whatever.
Good deal. Yeah, semiconductor dick. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was another person I was talking to at the time, and then so with this girl, second date, like we went out to like a park, have fun. It's kind of weird because there's like a separation almost. It's almost like binary of like this is like pre-date, like in the date, you like act this way, where we're like very prim and proper per se. But then as soon as like the door closes of like in a society of like, oh, we're in private time, boom, it's like heavy makeout session. We're going at it.
This is with the another girl, not the doctor girl.
That was with the doctor.
Oh yeah. So did you go on a date too with this doctor girl?
Yeah, so that was day two with the doctor. We went out to a park, went hiking, talked about stuff. And it was funny at the hike we went to, there was a stripper who brought a stripper pole to the park and like set up in the park, and like someone was taking photos, and I was like, this is the most Portland thing I've ever seen.
That's pretty funny. Of course, there's a photographer in there.
Of course. It's like, oh, just funny, I guess.
That is funny. Okay, so you're connecting with her. But she wasn't really like you weren't. It was fun to be around her, or but you weren't feeling like super connected to her. Like, oh, this is like something I feel myself falling more and more into. It's just kind of like this
To
is
be
cool. I get
honest,
to date.
I think I was just enjoying the time we were spending together. I don't think I was like, I guess, falling for her in a way.
Hmm.
Um, I enjoyed the time. I know we're still chatting today. We still she me up
Oh,
actually. Yeah, just
oh,
chatting.
okay. Didn't know that.
Um, like at this point, we've had sex and stuff too, but it's kind of just like very professional. Not in the sense of like sex, but like in the sense of like corporate I guess. Like a very professional relationship. It's kind of weird.
Okay, interesting. Wait, who's this one? This is the doctor girl or the engineer girl?
The doctor.
Okay, okay, okay. Very
So I
professional.
went on a date with
Interesting.
the engineer
Mhm.
eventually, and we went on a park and a hike. And she's from China. And long story short, she it wasn't gonna work. She had a very different interpretation of like what dating or relationships were and stuff anyway. So I was like, okay, we can just be friends or whatever. But this wasn't. It didn't. We didn't click. We did not click
What was her
on a.
interpretation? What was her? What were the things that rubbed you
I
the
say
wrong
that because she was not American. Um, she was like from China and only moved to America to like go to school and like get this job. She's only been in America for like 3 years.
way? Hmm.
So obviously there's cultural differences there of like what dating is like, or we just didn't click on like we didn't meet eye to eye we had great conversations, like we had fun conversations about technical things or about life, but as far as like relationships, it wasn't connecting.
But what was her viewpoint on what didn't connect specifically? Like, I'm curious of what her expectations of a relationship would be.
I can't answer that. All I can say is that I would try to like build rapport or be romantic or flirt, and she's just like it just went over her head. Like it didn't make sense.
Oh man, I think we would. Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I always like maybe I'm biased. Like I always assume that girls just learned this through their adolescence and they're like masters at this social game. So it's always
That's somewhat
surprising, but
true.
like, huh?
It's somewhat true.
It's somewhat true. But I find women are there's aspects to the social game that they're fucking terrible at as well, and they're clueless with that as well, and they're not very good at playing with too. So it's funny you're telling me this. It's like, yeah, you throw this energy out, and she's just like, just like, zing. And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it a part of again is a cultural difference. I don't know what the cultural norms are in China. I just
Mhm.
don't. Um, so there's just some differences there. That's all. So that
Yeah,
was
I'm
like
curious to
okay,
see
that
what
was
that
another
was.
date.
That's interesting.
Yeah. What other dates did I go on? I had to review my list.
So, well, I have a question about the doctor lady.
Yes.
How many dates in before you made the score? Like, what was that aspect of it?
So I think it was the fourth date in. Um, yeah. By the third date, I remember we went out to like a whiskey bar downtown and got some good stuff, had some good like meatballs, and we're making out on the street in front of her car where she parked. She's like, "Yeah, I just want to fuck you now."
She just said that outright.
Yeah,
Man, what a great sentence to hear.
not exactly, but she's just like, "Yeah," because I said I was like, "Yeah, I kind of lost my virginity when I was like 11." Um,
Whoa, interesting.
so I forget how that got brought up, but we're making out.
Yeah,
We're
what a
making
weird segue, dude. This story. Anyway, okay, continue. Sorry, I'll let you go.
we're making out, and then she was like, "Yeah, so you're experienced, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess so." He's like, I want to
Wait,
see.
you said you lost your virginity when you were 11, or she said she lost it?
I lost my, yeah.
I thought you said that she said she lost it.
She didn't lose hers, so she's like 20.
Okay,
So,
yeah, that's what I thought you said. I thought she just said that. I was like,
no.
okay, what's the story here? Like, okay. I thought you were saying the girl said that.
Um,
I was like, whoa. Yeah, misunderstanding there. Okay.
anyway, so she was like interested, but at that particular day, we couldn't do anything. She was literally leaving to go to the airport, like within a couple hours, because she's actually from like Midwest, and she went back home to like go get her dog and a couple of things, to see some family members. So it's a family trip. She's like, yeah, when I get back, it's on. I was like, cool.
Nice.
And then she came back like 3 weeks later, and I just invited myself over to her house one day. She was like, hey, so when am I come over and check your house? She's like, oh yeah, I guess I should clean up. And I was like, well, you don't have to, but I can just come over. It's like, okay. And I just came over, bought some condoms, got some beer, and good to go.
All right, you made it happen. Sweet deal.
Yeah.
Was it good? Was it? Yeah.
It was interesting because like I don't think I've ever slept with someone like her, because first of all, it's been a while for her. She was like, yeah, it's been like over a year since I've had sex. But man, she was like a wild animal, like hungry beast.
Okay.
Because like I'm trying to like do my motions here, but she's just like, no, fuck off. Like I'm gonna do all shit. And like she was drenching in sweat. Drenching. Like I got wet from her sweat, like soaked.
That's hilarious. That's awesome. That's crazy. She just wow. All right. Just crazy.
Yeah.
Doctor lady, it's repressed emotion and rage coming out.
No,
I don't know what it is, but hey, it's cool.
Yeah, we're all human. We need it.
Isn't that fascinating? Someone's like, I got to imagine that's kind of totally opposite than how she might have been in public, say, or the public persona versus the, when she's letting loose in a sexual situation.
Right.
Like that's always so interesting to me, is like the different aspects of people that come out during those different moments.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating.
Totally.
All right, she doctored you up then. She doctored you up.
Yeah. And you know what's really funny, and this is like a more interesting technical thing, is that, I studied engineering and math. That's what I got degrees in. But I almost got a physics degree because I like physics so much. And my big theory with that is that I love physics because I love asking the big questions in life. I like being curious. I think it's one of my big personalities. Like I want to stay curious.
I agree.
She in general is not very curious. She got a medical degree, became a medical doctor because she just had to study very specific stuff, and that was it. There's no need for her to expand outside of that skill set. So she didn't. She doesn't consider herself very creative or asking big questions. She's just like stuck to the grindstone of like doing this thing for 10 years, and it paid off. But it's fascinating. Like, oh, you're a doctor. Like, I would have thought you would have been more interested in like the concept of learning, and like nope, I don't care. Like,
yeah.
So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that even doctors, are still people, in the sense like it's not like you fit a mold. We're all still, and everyone's got their own personalities and traits and
how they go about doing it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And immediately I knew that. Like I have plenty of doctor friends, and I've been around that world for a long time. But maybe that's or it's something better to know for your peers or the listeners. Like, hey, doctors are not some mythical people. They're just me and you who just stuck to one thing for a long time.
That's what everyone is. Like Jeff Bezos. Well, I don't look at him as any more different than kind of anyone else walking around. There's a good quote: "Never look up to anyone, never look down on anyone." Kind of like answers it right.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So, this probably leads to some of my most recent dates. I had a date 3 weeks ago with a fantastic girl. I thought it was actually really good. We
How
went
many
out to
weeks ago?
the 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah, recent. Okay.
We went out to the Portland Japanese Garden.
Yep, I know where it's at.
We were hitting it up. We were chatting on pretty good online. I got cool. Fit, you're my type. Let's go on a date. Had a great date. We met up at like noonish, 11ish. Got hung out all day. Got some donuts. Got some tea. Hung out all night. Relatively till like 8. And then said our goodbyes. And I was like, that was a really good date. One thing I think I learned from that situation was she hit all of the green flags.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, example, she was saying, I forget how I brought it up, but at one point she was like, yeah, so how did your parents meet or what's your background and so forth? And she was saying like, yeah, my parents met she was from Laos and her parents were from the same village and they didn't know they were from the same village, but when they came to America, they eventually connected because they're like, oh, you should know this person because they're from the same village, but they didn't know each other when they were in the village. But when they came to America, they happened to connect and they got together that way, which is kind of interesting. But what that translates to, she was like, yeah, so I guess I really value like traditionalism, I guess, or very conservativeness to it of like romance, I suppose. Like her parents still, like they still have a great relationship.
Oh, cool. Wow, that's good. It's a really good sign.
Green flag.
That's a really good sign.
Yeah, she was actually buying a home. She was in the process of buying a home. So it's still, actually, I think it just closed on her last Tuesday. But stable career. Can do by herself and be successful on her own. She had a very interesting story. She has a tattoo. She has one, and I have one tattoo. And I was like, so why do you get tattooed? She's like, to be honest, I don't really know how to explain it yet. I just know it's kind of part of me. And I was like, okay, well, I can share you my tattoo, and then I explain my tattoo. For me, it's like has representations of my grandmother, and I think of my heritage and stuff like that. She's like, yeah, that's actually why my tattoos. What I feel about mine, I just kind of feel embarrassed telling people that. I'm like, I get it. And it was a new tattoo for her, so it was like, basically, all these things in my head. Like I'm listening to these stories, we're connecting, like we're having good conversation pieces, just sharing our entire life story. I'm like, oh, green flags. This is looking good. And then she basically said a week and a half ago, and I was like, hey, I think I just want to be friends. I don't want to be romantic. I'm like, okay, I appreciate you telling me that. So when I hit her up last week about it, I was like, hey, so I appreciate you telling me that, but I have a question. Can you give me feedback? I want to know what I could do better.
Wow, good question, dude. Way to go. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I want to know how I can make improvements or what can I do better for next time or whatever. Because part of it is that I do feel I'm still losing that social skill. And there's like so many little things I think that I wish hindsight's 2020. Like, oh, I should have did this, should have said that, whatever.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But sometimes I just want the perspective of someone else. So like, hey, how was this feeling to you, or what was this situation looking like to you? So yeah, I just asked her for feedback, and she hasn't got back to me yet. But I'm hoping.
Shit. I was hoping. I was like, damn. So on that first date, did you make any? Like, how did you move the interaction forward in any romantic sense? Physical touch, moving into.
No, and we were masked up the whole time, so just didn't feel comfortable doing that, I guess.
Yeah, dude, that shit just gets in the way, man. It's tough. It's tough to get around.
Yeah, but we were hitting it off really well. At least I felt we were. So that was good. And she would constantly give me feedback. So I brought that up before, with the other doctor. She was like, oh, what about like constant feedback of different questions and different things? She was like, it wasn't just like me blindly telling a story. It was like, no, like she's like, oh, what about this? Or like, oh, I have a situation similar to that. And like, just go back and forth.
Right. Yeah, the tennis volley.
Yeah. And it's so funny. Like, this is like, top Aaron trick of how to socialize. I think about how friends talk, like how we talk.
Yep.
And we're kind of stuck to a topic here today, but people who are friends can jump from topic to topic, no question.
It just goes.
Oh.
Yep.
So I use that as a tactic to make new friends.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, we're talking about donuts. Okay, cool. Donuts are good, whatever. I go, what about dogs? Or like, what about that movie? Like, you just jump topic without even thinking about it, because that's how friends would talk. And I think people get stuck on like a topic, and it ruins it. It ruins it.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah. Anyone who's listening, that's a great social skill. I try to do the same thing, maybe subconsciously. At least I hope I do, because it is super effective. But I remembered a quote that it's exactly what you just said. If you're not talking to people like they're your friends, you're fucking it up. Something like that. It's, at least in a dating sense. Like in terms of like the smoothness and like the rhythm of it and how free flowing and free associative it is. So what I do, like exactly what you just said, I try to encapsulate the feeling that I get when I'm with my friends and apply that same embodiment and feeling when I'm talking to new people, especially dating prospects, because I feel like it has the most, it's so effective, man. I'm sure you've reaped the rewards of your topic jumping trick.
All the time.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it makes
What do you, what?
makes you seem so interesting.
Yeah, and it's free flowing. It also like indicates that you're creative in some sense too, like, and you're able to be more expressive. What in using that specific thing when you're on dates and you apply that and you switch it, what kind of feedback do you see bodily wise? Is it usually always positive? Do you ever have an instance where it's like negative? Or is
Unless
it
the
almost
topic is
always
I have never received a negative, response.
right? Right. So it's like almost always just smooth. It's
And even
beneficial.
when the topic is taboo, you kind of like lead it a little bit differently. Like, hey, so it sounds a little weird, but, and then
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Like even that,
Yeah.
like
Right.
you can phrase it in a way that's still gonna be a net positive.
I like that tip a lot, man. I think it's a really good one. Man, this is good to talk about. Like, I've been out of the game for so long. I haven't dated in forever. So I can't imagine what my goofy ass is gonna should be stumbling around trying to communicate like. But talking to you, this is like, okay, yeah. It's like I feel like I'm getting some of the stuff back, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. One other person I was dating during this time, I had to look at my messages to remember.
Okay. Okay.
So I met this person originally like late September, I think,
Okay.
October,
Yep.
and we got lunch. That's how our first date was. But we connected because she saw on my profile I have a picture of one of my biggest hobbies, which is car stuff. So I have a picture of like me drifting,
Mm-hmm.
and she knew what type of car it was. She's like, "Oh, I love drifting. Like, nice car, basically," is what she said.
Okay.
She's a car person. So then we eventually met up and like talk about car stuff. She's from SoCal, and then we had a car community connection. So that was fun.
Yeah.
We hit it off really well. We got boba, just chilling. She's very
Wait, Asian again?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. On the first date, we didn't make out or anything, but there was really good, easily identifiable interest. You know, she's kind of like doing like little cute little touches. Constantly
Cool.
giving good feedback on different questions.
Nice. Good stuff.
And then again, date one, no intimacy. Like we hugged, but we didn't like kiss or anything. I hung out date two, and she was like, it was funny because like immediately there, I remember date two, my energy level wasn't optimal. I was like, I don't know, a long day at work or something. But I remember thinking like, I'm here, like kind of like, all right, let's do this type of attitude.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna get boba, and like she was like, oh, Aaron, like super like.
That's always how it goes. It's like a mix. It's like the universe does that to you on purpose. Like you get a mismatched thing, and you're like, "What is this telling me?"
Yeah, but it was just funny. I'm like, oh, she's really into me.
Cool.
um, so date number 2, again, we hung out, just went for a walk, got dinner. We ended up kissing that date as a goodbye, so that was cool.
So how did that one go? The end of that, like
That one was a little bit more straightforward. In this context, I was in the passenger seat this time because like I just happened to park farther away than where she was, so I like walked to her car, and then she drove me to my car.
yep.
So I was in the passenger seat. But same idea, do the hug thing, and then like I look, she turned. I was like, all right, cool, kiss.
Okay, so you're you're hugging there. You're hugging this lingering hug. You look at her, and you just wait for her to look up and look at you.
Basically,
With the eye contact, it's like, boom, it's connected,
yep.
right?
Because for me, and this is just a personal thing, like I like to go. I need information to know that it's okay to proceed.
Yeah, right, and that's what you're looking for.
And once I get information that's okay to proceed, then I will proceed.
And what are all the indicators that you're looking at, like green lights here? Like, what are you noticing on that?
I'm looking like where their head's placed, how the hug is, whether strong or weak type of hug, or energy level of them, or if they, and especially if they look at me, oh my God, boom.
That's kind of like the end one where all the other
Kind of,
prerequisites have kind of getting ticked off.
a little
And then
bit.
they
Yeah.
look at you. It's like, all right. So in the hug, what's a weak hug versus a strong hug? Like,
Kind of like
what are some of the things?
for these, when you're like, all right, good to see you. Not like a
Maybe the
full
weak
bear
hug.
hug. Kind of like
But you're in the car, right? You're going across seats.
yeah.
Okay, so I guess you're looking at.
I'll say what I do is I go all in. Like I do strong hugs. And if they meet me on the strong hug, good indicator.
Right. Gotcha. And then the next step is you're lingering the hug there. What are you feeling and sensing during the lingering?
Mostly their head. Because most of the time they're, during a hug, you typically aren't looking at someone because like their head would be like this way or, whatever. Right. So if their head movement like turned towards me in any way, or if there's like a pause, or after the hug, so you're hugging and then like you like come out of the hug and then like you like you like look at them.
Slowly look at them. That was the 4th girl. So where are you at now, dating wise?
Oh, yeah. So there's 2 more girls.
Oh damn! All right.
There was another one who was in between. It was like late October time frame. Early November. We only had 1 date.
Mm-hmm.
I think it went really well. She's a nurse. She's a hero because she's in the hospital doing all the stuff for
She Filipino?
COVID.
She Filipino?
Oh, actually, yeah.
Okay.
No, you know what? Not. She's Vietnamese.
Oh, okay. All right. Switching the game on us.
Yeah. But we only went on 1 date, and we actually still chat. She's a great communicator. She's just too busy with nursing life to
just doing a lot.
Which she already communicates. She's like, yeah, like I like you a lot, but I don't think it's fair to you because I'm just too busy with work and like, whatever.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, at least she's communicating more directly than you might get otherwise. So at least it's information you can work with.
Yeah. Second person is we started chatting last week. Was it last week?
Pull up the records.
Hold the records. It was the 16th. So 10 days ago ish. So like weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Started chatting, having a good connection. And I guess what I mean when I say we're having a good connection, like the conversations online and these dating apps is not bland. Like it's not like, hey, how are you? Good. I'm good too. Like, it's not that. It's a little bit more, you know, like I can talk about stuff. And we're having a conversation. So I threw out, like, hey, do you want to go on a date or something? And she's like, yeah, I'm not really feeling comfortable with dating right now. I'm like, I get it. So we did a video. I'm sorry. Like, oh, do you want to do a video call? And she's like, no, we can just call though. And I was like, okay, cool. So we just chatted. So about a weekish of like online chatting. And then we had a conversation over the phone. And the phone conversation went pretty well right up until about the hour and a half mark, where she's like, so I have everybody has their standards of like, you know, what they're looking for in a partner.
Mm-hmm.
And her standards were, she wanted someone who was relatively religious. She practices Christianity, and she's like, how do you feel about that? I'm like, well, I don't practice. So I go, okay, well, I think I'm looking for someone who is practicing. I'm like, okay, well, good chatting with you.
You met her on what site?
Hinge.
Hinge. Okay, I don't know.
It's a new app. Old new, and it's like, yeah, it's just an app.
Is it good?
I think I'm gonna go on a tangent here. I think there's if you didn't know, almost all online dating apps are owned by the same company.
Oh, okay. This makes sense.
Yeah, the Match Group, and so like Tinder, Bumble, OkCupid, Match.com.
Match.com. Mm-hmm.
A bunch of and like so many different subsets, but almost all
same parent company.
Same parent company.
Okay.
What that translates to is they use the same algorithms, same shit, just different user interface.
Right.
There's one or two other outliers to that. Facebook dating probably is one. Then I'm not OkCupid, but Coffee Meets Bagel is another one. It's like an outlier, not owned by the same, which I think are. There's a Coffee Meets Bagel. I think is pretty good, but I guess my point is Hinge just falls in the same group of the Match Group.
Gotcha. Okay.
But anyway, so yeah, she was looking for someone who is also Christian. To which I'm not
specific dating sites for what she's looking for. So like her words and her actions don't even line up with that, because there's like literally that's like one of the first websites that was probably made is like Christian dating site. Like it's
probably like Jewish Date probably was the first one, but
yeah, probably yeah. But like I mean, I used to see TV commercials about that. Like I forget the website of it, but Christian something, I don't know. Christianfind.com, I don't know what the heck. Something like that. Interesting. It's interesting what people like what they're no, it's just interesting. It's like, why don't you go to a very specific niched website that's designed for exactly what you said you're looking for, as opposed to this Hinge thing where
it's kind of everybody.
Yeah, it's everyone. And you could be having these great conversations, go on a date, but then once you get to the root of it and they're not practicing Christianity, now all of a sudden you can't have a relationship with them anymore because it doesn't match what you're looking for. It's like, how much time are you willing to waste here? Like, what are you really after? These are the questions I ask myself when I'm looking at this stuff.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I get it. You know, like everyone has their standards, and I respect the decision.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, so we had an hour-and-a-half conversation. And at the end, she was like, I have this. I'm like, okay, well, I don't fit that. So, all right, bye, Felicia. It was kind of like that quick too. It's like, yeah. So she was like, okay, well, I don't know how to tell you or end this now, but I think we should continue. I'm sorry, I don't think we should continue. I'm like, okay, talk to you later. Like it was.
Yeah, that's so funny.
He was that fast. Dude, just weird.
Yeah, that is weird. It's like, all right, you're verified on Hinge, but you're not verified in the eyes of God. So, good day.
Yeah. So that was like on like a Saturday, or and then 4 days later, I'm just like, doing my thing. I was actually out snowboarding. Had a great time
Yeah,
this
no, I
weekend.
was gonna leave this up. I was like, was that a date?
No. So my snowboarding, she hit me up, this Christian person,
Oh, this
and she's
Christian
like,
dude.
"Hey, so I think I'm gonna delete the app. You're a pretty cool dude. Here's my number. Let's chat anyway."
That's what I'm talking about. It's like these actions and like they don't line. Anyway, yeah. That's so funny. So God told me, I prayed and he spoke to me and he told me you're a pretty cool dude. I gotta go with it. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's fun
Which
though.
yeah,
Hey, man.
we had a follow up chat,
Hmm.
and I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna be friends. Like, I don't have many friends in Portland, so
Yeah.
and that's fine too. I'm okay with that. Like, hey, just another friend. That's cool."
Hmm. Yeah, you're going snowboarding? Fucking snowboarding's fun as hell.
Yeah. So how that happened is my coworker, he invited me,
Hmm.
and he has a cabin right outside the 15 minutes from the snowboarding spot, and he's like a wicked snowboarder, man. He's awesome.
Oh, wow.
He's a skier and like snowboarder. He's born and raised PNW guy. He's like, yep, outdoorsy guy. And he's like, yeah, he's bought a cabin, and the cabin was sick,
That's awesome.
and like just lived it up, man. Like it was awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah. He goes like 30 weekends a year. Like he's living
That
life.
was a lot. Yeah, he's good. He's just going out. That's
Yeah.
awesome, dude. That's so cool. That's so
Yeah.
cool. That must have been so fun.
It was. I fell on my ass a lot,
Yep.
but it was a good learning experience. And importantly, I got back up and tried again.
Yep. Like slowly making your way down the mountain, and you're like, I'm not gonna fall off this fucker, and then you fall.
Oh
And
no, I
yeah.
was zooming, man. Like I was like I was schmoving, man.
Really?
But
You got
then
broken?
I was super smoothing. But I'm like, okay, how do I stop? I'm like, okay, I gotta like turn, and I'm like, and then I was just
Yeah,
like,
you just like, I
every
guess I'll wipe out to stop.
yeah, that's literally what happened every time.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can move down, I can do some movements. I can't turn very well, but I can go straight down that mountain like super fast. I'm not afraid, but I'm like, okay, come close to where I need to stop. And I had to like front flips.
Wipe out, yeah. Dude, that's awesome. So fun. How did you get off of the lift? Like, I'm terrible at it. Like,
I fell every time I got off the lift.
yeah, the fucking lift,
Literally,
man. Fucking lift. The first time I ever
every time.
went snowboarding, I think the first time I got off the lift, I didn't fall. I was like, fine. Every time after the first time, just fell. And I was like, oh, what the hell? You put my hopes up. You just like
Yep.
fall right down. And you're trying to get out of the fucking way because everyone else is still coming. You're like, oh, I gotta get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Still fun though. I like, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go again. What's really interesting to me is that that following day, so I went on a Sunday, and then Monday I have work, and I'm doing my thing, and I'm in recently I've been in a big mode to like stay active. I'm running a lot, I'm working out in my free time. Yo, I went on a run on Monday, fastest run I had in my time.
I seen your post of that. I seen you like damn, I beat my
I
new
think the
personal
high
best.
we were like 6,000 feet up, and it's exercise to do that
Yes.
type of stuff, and I was like trying to get up and go again. But the next day, I was feeling so good on that run.
You just
It was
smashed
great.
it.
Smashed it.
It's crazy how one day, like one little tweak like that, will have increased results in another area. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's part of it's big for me. It's a big consistency story because I've been running for 2.5 months now. 4 or 5 times a week, and eventually it would lead up to like good performance and that little extra push of, hey, you did something outside your comfort zone.
The question I had is throughout your dating experience, what have you learned from it? Like, all right, these are my green flags, these are my red flags, this is what I've noticed. Like, what has been like the things you've kind of learned the most, the lessons you've pulled out of the most?
It's a good question. I think, to be honest, you learn more by yourself more than anything else. I realize what I particularly like. More and more it gets fine tuned. What are some of my standards and what I'm looking for? I think at first I'm like, you just kind of throw spaghetti on the wall and whatever sticks, you'll take it. But as I guess a more mature adult, I feel very comfortable with myself, and I know I have a little bit of standards. My green flags are like simple things. I can only have like really two conditions for me to want to pursue a date with somebody or pursue dating somebody. Number one is they have to have a hobby. And it could be anything. I don't care what the hobby is. But the point is that if they don't have a hobby, then I become the hobby,
Mm.
which I don't.
You don't
You need
want
to be
that.
able to be self-sufficient. And I think a hobby, among many other things like a career, and like builds that up. The second thing is you need to care about your health, and that could mean that it's kind of vague on purpose, but like at least you either eating in some manner that you deem as healthy, or doing exercising in some manner that you deem as healthy, and it doesn't have to be like going to the gym. It could be like just going outside, bike, whatever, something that is promoting your health in some level. Those are my only two conditions. After that, and which is strange because it's actually fascinating of how many people just get eliminated by those two conditions.
Yeah,
Because so
right.
many people like, number one, partying is not a hobby; it doesn't count, or being social or anything like that. But um, I love people who are mature and who are can take care of themselves. I don't. I guess because I'm that way, I want that for my partner as well. So that's like, I guess, what I'm learning going through the dating experiences. Second thing is that people are in this area of the country way different than the people where I was from in Vegas.
Really? You think so?
I think so.
What do you notice?
Every date I went on, no, except for one, none of them wore makeup. They were not in like fancy heels. They were not trying to impress me with their appearance only.
Hmm. Okay, that's an interesting one compared to Vegas to Portland.
Compared to Vegas. And I'm not saying they
Yeah,
were all glamored up in Vegas, but appearances played a much more important role in how you represent yourself it does
Vegas.
in Vegas than it does up here.
I agree with that. Now that you're saying that, yeah, I could notice the same thing. Yeah. Wow. I never really paid attention to it, but I think you're right.
Yeah. And I appreciate it because, I went on multiple dates. People are literally like in flip flops.
Just
And
you.
that's just, they're just comfortable with that. And, they own it. And that's who they are. I'm like, I love it. I love it.
Okay, cool. I know you said you had two criteria that you're kind of looking for people to fit into. What are some of the things? Have you noticed any like subtle things, like on body language level or anything change there? Is like, okay, if I see that, I've seen this enough times. No more than no. That's yeah. I can't deal with that anymore because whatever. That's a pattern I'm seeing and it doesn't lead to what I'm looking for, or and vice versa. Oh shit. Okay, I'm noticing this too. That's a good pattern. Boom. As opposed to them having hobbies like that's kind of macro or anything micro things that you're like those things.
I think a lot of it when I see things that I am not willing to tolerate anymore, a lot of it has to do with like maturity.
Mhm.
The youngness of the mind, attitude of stuff. I'm just like, yeah, I don't care. And I can't necessarily like pinpoint it off the top of my head, but there's like so many little things that young people do or try to receive attention. If you're like if you need attention, don't care. Not gonna, I'm just not. I'm just like, all right, whatever, bye.
What are some of the actions that someone might do that looks like attention seeking or they're seeking validation or external validation?
Um, I think a lot of it has to do with like mannerisms. Uh, Almost like, for example, a big one is like putting on like a fake voice. That's something it's like cringe to me. Like,
Okay.
hello. Like, I don't know. Like, it's cringy to me. I just can't
I
beat it.
think I know what you're talking about. It doesn't happen all the time, but it almost feels like it's a nervous tick thing as
Yeah.
opposed to a creative expression.
Hmm.
Because the context in which it's placed in is like, it kind of like puts you like, huh? What? Why was that there? Is that accurate to say? Like that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think that's a big one. My
Hmm.
second one is I remember when we went out in the past, and there was the time where I told you, it was like, dude, this girl literally said to me, you cannot talk to us because you didn't buy us a drink.
Yeah, when was that? I remember this.
I forget what bar that was, but man, what a pretentious statement that I'm just not willing to buy. Like,
Yeah,
I don't care.
yeah.
I don't care.
If anything, though, it's like a thank you. It's like, oh, thank you for excluding you from my life.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
appreciate the info. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all really good stuff. Dude, thank you for ex I don't know the word. It's late. I literally don't know the word. Sharing. All right, I'll go with that. Sharing your dating history, your stories. I know that's like revealing. That's probably the word I was looking for. It can be pretty revealing. So I appreciate you revealing all the information, being pretty open and transparent with all that. I know plenty of people who wouldn't be comfortable with that, so I think that's pretty cool. So I appreciate you doing that, especially because this will be posted up online, and the way things are, it can be kind of risky. So, like, I appreciate you
You know, it,
sitting here talking with me on that.
for me, I don't necessarily have anything to hide, and I don't feel I was doing anything incorrect. Um, it might not be somebody for everybody, but I feel I was within my realm of righteousness per se. Like I wasn't doing anything wrong. I
Yeah,
was like,
right. You weren't saying anything. Yeah.
it wasn't criminal in any way. Like I had no bad intentions anywhere. Um, just trying to be the better human being all the time.
Hmm. Yeah, dude, I appreciate that about you. And I appreciate you coming on and talking. So awesome stories. Like it's so interesting. Like I always try to nitpick and ask, detailed questions, but that's because I find all of it just so interesting. So I appreciate it. So thank you for joining on the Peel This Banana podcast once again. All about this is a dating episode, so I hope everyone else enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next time. So thank you.
See you later.
See ya.